Welcome to Drinking Bros, presented by GhostBed.com.
Yeah, welcome to Drinkin' Bros, kids. It's a fine Monday afternoon, and our title sponsor is GhostBed.com/Drinkin' Bros, as it has been for the last almost 3 years here, I think. Today's guest on the show is the CEO of GhostBed.com/Drinkin' Bros. I can't say GhostBed without saying .com/Drinkin' Bros. Mr. Werner, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Just Marc Werner, and we've been, I think, a proud sponsor for almost 7 years. Is that possible?
It's been a while.
Has it been? Yeah.
Title, I think it's been a little
Title
bit,
sponsor for 3.
No, a little over, because it was March of 2019, I think, when that first happened, right?
Yeah, we're in
March or May. It was sometime. So it's right at 3 years.
Yeah, right at 3 years. But you guys have been on the show before that. I kind of wanted to get into your history today. So D'Anthony and I started a hard seltzer company. And, you know, as you start a company, you go through growing pains on the way up. You learn, you try to raise money, everything else. And we wanted to figure out how you did it, because hearing stories like yours actually help us and other small business owners of what is possible in the world and how to do it and what pitfalls to possibly avoid. How did you get started with GhostBed and mattresses in general? Were you guys first, or was it Casper?
Well, we were before them.
You were.
My wife and I started Nature's Sleep 22 years ago.
Okay.
So let me take it even further back.
Sure.
Can I go back 100 years?
Take it back 100.
Let's go. Getting the way
Take it back 100.
So my grandfather started the Werner Company, and my grandfather was lieutenant colonel in the Army, and he was served in both World War I and World War II, and then he was also worked for Hoover at the FBI for firearms and tobacco, and he started the Werner Company, and he had, I think, 11 brothers and sisters, and he had a very simple mission statement: make dinner money. And they had no money; they were poor, and they were just trying to make money for dinner. So when he was in World War I, he back then they wore bloomer type pants, and inside the bloomer pants around the calf muscle was like a Boy Scout belt type of material. It was all khaki green, and he knew that the Army had like a 4 billion year supply of material. So he came up with the idea of buying some of that excess material and dyeing it beige. And back in those days, 1915, 1925, et cetera, people didn't have wall-to-wall carpeting. They had area rugs. And on those area rugs, they always frayed on the fringe there. Mm-hmm. So he came up with the idea of taking that material that was in that pant, dyeing it kind of beige, and then using it as a binding material to go around those area carpets. And then when he was in Europe during World War I, he met some guys that made wax. So then he came out with Werner wax for the hardwood floors and thimbles and needles. And that's how he got started. And from what I understand, my ancestors, they were rolling cigars for a nickel a piece or a nickel a day, some, pennies, basically, just kind of surviving. And that's how they started. And they started so simply that you didn't know that they became the largest ladder company in the world with 85% market share, 80, 100 years later, from that little humble beginnings. And he was able to be in the military and work full time for the FBI and still have this kind of side gig, to support the family, and different family members worked there. It was a family business. Fast forward, and he used to call it material conversion, making material from one form to another. And then his 2 of his sons, my dad and his identical twin, were brilliant guys. My dad was also, both of them were in the military. My dad served in Korea, and was a genius metallurgist, engineer, and polymer engineer. So he's the guy that invented the first aluminum step ladder and extension ladder. So when you watch the basketball game a couple weeks ago and they cut down the net and it said Werner Ladder,
yep,
that's my family. And our name's on just hundreds and hundreds of millions of ladders. And so he invented first the aluminum ladder, step ladder, extension ladder, and then AT&T, Ma Bell in the 50s came to us and said, can you make a material that's both non-conductive and non-corrosive? And my dad invented fiberglass and then invented the fiberglass ladder. So when you see yellow ladders, orange ladders, blue ladders. Those are all fiberglass. So you can't get electrocuted. They're lighter weight, and they're really great and really help revolutionize that. So he had to invent the material, invent the machines to make it, and et cetera, et cetera. And then we became a national company in the United States, and then we got into 83 countries. But it all started small. They were for multiple generations. They were working for wages and very, very thrifty and not living the big life, living the small life, kind of putting it back into the business. It was all about the business, and it was all about quality. And my grandfather always used to say, and I never forget it to this day, profits follow quality. So if you do the right thing with the product and with people, in the long term, you'll be successful. It doesn't have to be economic success. It can be just kudos or something like that.
Right.
So that's kind of how the Werner Company got started. And I grew up as third generation from my grandfather in the factory. So I've been around equipment and engineering and inventing stuff my entire life. And I helped my dad as his little lab assistant when I was a little kid with his fiberglass stuff. And all my science fair projects and stuff was all about fiberglass and polymers and stuff like that. And a fiberglass ladder is really a structural polymer. So,
and I hate to interrupt you here, but did you say your dad invented fiberglass?
He invented the fiberglass pultrusion that's used to structural fiberglass to then use to make the fiberglass ladder. He also invented the alloy to make the aluminum ladder, and that's the same alloy. I have a little, like this is a heat sink that they would make or something like that.
Okay.
The same alloy that's used to for the skin of an airplane. Mm-hmm. So they were long on brains and short on capital in the old days. And so they had to use a lot of, just hard work and stuff like that to invent stuff. So they needed to be able to extrude aluminum. Yeah. Aluminum extrusion is like a Play-Doh press. You put hot billet aluminum in, you push down, you push through, and you get a form, a shape. And we had to be able to extrude more aluminum per minute because we couldn't afford more presses. So we had to invent a new alloy that could be strong and extrude very quickly. And that's, essentially how we got to that. I think my great uncle invented what's called the variable screw machine. So when you do injection molding, what happens is you heat up these pellets that get warm and it becomes like liquid wax, and it goes into a mold, to a 16 cavity mold to make everything that's plastic around you. Mm. And what would happen is when that stuff would come through the cylinder, it would get stuck in the cylinder as it starts to cool down. So he came up with the idea of just having what they call the variable screw machine. So this kind of turning, rotating screw in that cylinder keeps that material moving so it stays liquid when it gets into the mold. And that was a great invention in the injection molding business. So they were pioneers in a lot of different businesses, but we were all about quality and value and service and that kind of stuff, customer driven, engineering driven, et cetera. So I grew up in that biz, and then we ended up selling it 25 years ago or so, and I love family business. So with my wife, we were living in Chicago at the time. We lived in Ohio and Chicago. And so I said, let's start our own thing. And I've had 3 neck surgeries. Actually, at the time I had 2. I've had a 3rd subsequent. So I was an athlete and all that kind of stuff, and I wore out my vertebrae from football to wrestling to running, you name it, golf. And I could never find a pillow or mattress that worked for me with my condition. And so given the polymer background, I just decided to kind of invent my own. So I started what we call Nature Sleep with my wife back in Chicago. And I wanted my kids to ultimately work there. They were younger at the time, and build another family business because I love family business. And in our family, we always felt it was like a binder. It kind of keeps the family together. You work together. You air out your differences on product or this or that, and then you have dinner together, and it's all good. And then over the years, as far as moving apart and growing apart, you stay together, and it's a good, healthy thing. So we're big advocates of family business and support it. So I'm proud to come from the Werner Ladder Company, which became the largest ladder company in the world. Starting from nothing, a great American story, and kind of the values that brings, quality and service and never looking back. So I start this mattress pillow company with my wife, and I kind of told her, let's kind of focus on pillows, even though I knew I was going mattresses. And I love this new memory foam technology Tempur-Pedic had just kind of come out a couple years prior with their mattress. It was pretty expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt this was the future, because in the ladder business, ladders went from wood to aluminum to fiberglass. Different material, but they still did the same thing. You stepped up on it, you painted, you changed the light bulb, etc., fixed the roof. So in the mattress business, I saw it go over the last 150 years from horsehair to springs to specialty foams like memory foams and latexes and all kinds of different things today. So I thought this is an opportunity to kind of get into that fast-growing memory foam space, and because I really watched the fiberglass ladder business explode from zero to just a monster. So I thought this would be a great transition in the type of material used for mattresses. So I really focused on that. And I also knew that in the ladder business, one of the things that was always a problem was you're shipping air. So you ship a 32-foot extension ladder. There's not many you can get in a truck. Same thing with mattress business. Take a big king mattress, you can only get maybe flat packed 100 of them on a truck, 53-footer. So I kind of helped pioneer the idea of vacuum packing the mattress into that small box that you guys have all seen, and I'm sure lots of people now today know it. But 20 years ago, when I showed it to retailers, they laughed at me. And they said I was devaluing it and I didn't understand. And I said, it's just a logistics thing. I mean, it's just packaging. And they said, no one wants to buy an expensive king mattress that comes in a small box. I said, maybe not today, but in the future they will. And that will be the thing. And so I stayed with that technology because then it allowed me to set up distribution around the country with the original Nature Sleep on the wholesale side and get to customers right away. Because in the mattress business, traditionally, you'd go to a mattress retail store in Austin and you check it out and you go maybe on the weekend, and then you buy it on Saturday and Sunday. And then the salesman says, okay, we'll deliver it next week. And they sent the order to the regional factory who would produce it, deliver it to the retailer, and then they deliver it to you because there was no inventory in the business. In the ladder business, we had 42 locations with inventory with 3,500 SKUs in every place and shipped in 24 hours. So I had the idea, how about if we just had inventory around the country so we could ship everyone in 24 hours? And that's why you see with our stuff, we're always talking about shipping in 24 hours because we know, McDonald's trained everyone on immediate gratification with that drive-through. And then Amazon spoiled everybody with the 2-day and the 1-day shipping. Mm-hmm. So people expect things right away. So that's kind of how we kind of started that. So we started then the Nature Sleep in 20 plus years ago, my wife and myself. And then we decided, let's get out of Chicago. It's just too frickin' cold all the time. So we went down to South Florida. So we're in a little suburb town of the Fort Lauderdale area. It's called Plantation. And we set up shop here with factories all around the United States and up in Canada, because we do a lot of business in Canada as well. Built out first the Nature Sleep business, started doing wholesale distribution. Always wanted to kind of have a second brand to get into we called it at the time e-commerce. We didn't know the name direct to consumer. It wasn't a term, many years ago. And and then for the name, a lot of people ask me about the name. So I was in the business before the guys at that other company you mentioned were even shaving.
Yeah.
And now they're all gone. I was an engineering quality guy, inventing product, customer focused. I didn't know a lot about marketing. I learned about marketing. I got a lot of scars on my knees, skidding around, learning the hard way about digital marketing. But I've learned a lot, and we've got a really good team on that side of the equation. So I was telling a story to my sales manager that when I was a kid, I was afraid of ghosts under my bed. And my mother made a needlepoint. She tried to, they tried to help me with my little phobia and fear that, there weren't really ghosts under your bed. And I was also fearful of height, which I was in the ladder business. So that's kind of weird, but I was. Sometimes we all have these various fears and you try to get past them. So I was telling my sales manager this story, and he said, well, that would be a great name for the company, for the brand, GhostBed. So I said, great. It's easy to spell. It's easy to remember. It's fun. And then we came out with a really fun logo. And so we brand everything off the GhostBed. And so we kind of launched GhostBed around 2015, so about 7 years ago. And we had some channel conflict because the Nature Sleep brand, which was the wholesale brand, we'd put that online, but then guys in the brick and mortar stores would say, someone saw it online and they were upset. And it's like a totally different model, but it had the same name. So we need to establish this separate name that we could go direct to the consumer. And that was kind of how GhostBed was born. And then it just took off like a rocket ship. And we've then added a number of different models to it. And then we introduced the adjustable beds and those kind of things. And I know I just gave you a very long-winded answer for a simple question. What did you learn? I learned that you have to be very persistent, and you just have to be high energy and very positive and just keep moving forward. And you're going to make mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, you really can't be successful. And if you don't make mistakes, you're not being honest, because everyone makes mistakes. And I remember once when Jeff Bezos was interviewed by CNBC, and he had just come out with the phone for Amazon, and he had announced they were writing off $200 million because it wasn't working out. And they asked him, what happened? And he's laughing. They said, why are you laughing? He said, because you guys have no idea, the media that is, how many products and things we try fail. He goes, this one is just, sizable, couple hundred million. So it's kind of in the news and you can talk about it, but there's all kinds of stuff that fail. And you have to just keep perfecting. It's the packaging, the way you put the product together, the type of people that are working in your organization to make sure they're working well together, the messaging for your hard seltzer. I mean, there's so many things that come into play, but you just have to keep moving forward and not beat yourself up about anything that doesn't work out.
I feel like just from what you said today and the research I've done about you and your family as well, it seems the common theme of your trajectory is innovative solutions to problems. That's what your go-to-market strategy has been primarily. Like when you were CEO of was it Borg Ericsson? They're the first company to ever make a digital bathroom scale. First one.
I invented the digital bathroom scale.
Yeah. Like that, but it makes so much sense. That's something people clearly wanted, and you just make it and put it out on the market, right?
You're absolutely right. Because what I try to do is identify pain points and then figure out how to engineer and solve that pain point. And some of them are simple, like just an analog bathroom scale to a digital bathroom scale.
So you invented that? Do you have the patent and trademark and all that stuff to it?
So I invented it, and I don't have the patent for that. I have a lot of patents, but at the time I was 23. I didn't really, I'm 65 today. I didn't really think in terms of patent at the time. I just thought of solution because we were selling an analog mattress. We were the brand. Borg Ericsson was the brand at the time in the scale business. Mm-hmm. And we're basically selling these scales at the time for $5, $6, kind of wholesale, and they'd retail for $8, $9. And it was kind of a limited growth. Everyone had a scale. So by coming out with the digital scale, the first thing we did was we just went from an analog dial to a translucent dial. So all it really did was it gave you a readout in an LED display that said 155 pounds. Mm. And then what happened was I saw we had a high return rate. Because what happened is when you get on your scale and on an analog scale, you're kind of approximating what your weight is. A lot of times it's in the morning. You might not see that well from 6 feet away. So it's 150, 152, and you just kind of take it for granted because it's still moving. You want to get off it. As soon as you have an LED display, it says 150, get back on, it says 152. Customer says it's broken, I'm sending it back. So we had a high return rate. So I just reprogrammed the code to plus or minus 2 or 3%, it would go back to the original weight. But the more important thing was my dad gave me a great idea at the time. For when he was in the military, being all the things he invented in the Army, one of the things he was very familiar with was strain gauges. So strain gauges were used on bridges and stuff to kind of measure stress. And what you're doing there is you're taking a hardened piece of steel, you're running copper wire through it, electrical current, and you're measuring the deflection, kind of on the piece of steel. Yep. So he had said, look, Marc, microprocessors are coming out. The cost of this thing used to be $1 million. He goes, I bet you could do it for under $10. So I researched it. I went around the world to try to figure it out, came out with the first strain gauge and the microprocessor, went to Germany to get it programmed by Siemens, went to some place over in Europe, went to some places here, and came out with a true new weighing mechanism. That's now the standard in every bathroom scale you're on today. They're all strain gauges, and that's why they're so thin. The old days, we needed to be about 3.5 inches thick.
Well, even those,
but that was a problem solution.
Those handheld luggage scales. Same thing.
Yep.
It's just a strain gauge turned sideways, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad someone knows about a strain gauge.
Well, I was in the Army and I'm a bit autistic, so.
Let me chat about nature's sleep in general. Because of who your family is, did you not have to do any raises whatsoever? How did that start financially for you?
So essentially, I stayed pretty thrifty, and my wife and I funded it. And we're not talking about some of my competitors. I don't even like to mention their names, but where they raised 500 million, 300 million.
Mm-hmm.
These are license plate numbers that are kind of crazy. We're more old-fashioned guys. So we funded it, and then we had a pass the hat around with some friends and family kind of a thing. So we've kept our funding very small. And we've also tried to keep, whatever burn rate there is, and try to focus on trying to be profitable, but at the same time reinvesting every single dollar back into the business. So we have not gone the route of these other guys. And those guys are, in the VC world, they're pretty humped up to grow at any cost. And, that tune is changing a little bit now. Now it's more, I think, rationalized growth. But I think at first a lot of guys thought, we'd be the only mattress company, so just grow and get the whole market. It doesn't work that way, because as soon as you have success, you're going to attract a crowd, be it your gross margins attractive, your sales rates attractive, and more people are going to come into it. You see it with every single vertical out there, from coffee to hard seltzer to mattresses to gym shoes to you name it. There's competition, and we live in a very competitive world with instantaneous information and lots of really smart people. I mean, the dumbest people are just so smart. I mean, we have a very educated society overall, and people, when it comes to making a dollar, they can be very wise. And so you always have to be watching your flank.
Okay. Yeah, because, we're going through that now where the product exploded with the hard seltzer, and now we're in the midst of meeting with investors for the raise and all that other stuff. And I didn't know whether or not you would take in, one of the big paychecks or not, just based on who your family is. I'm sure people were waving money in your face.
Well, what was the advantage of my my family name? My name is a brand. And I'm proud of it. I'm respectful of it at all times. Is that it allowed me to have the experience, but allowed me to get into a bunch of big box places. So we do a lot of business with one of the greatest retailers in the world, Costco. Mm-hmm. And I have a relationship going back with Costco 37 years. And, I'd met the founder, and he did some mentoring to me when I was a young buck. And it was just a coincidence. So I've had the know-how to kind of walk into a lot of the big box kind of guys, the Depots and Lowe's. For Werner at Depots, there was 90 running feet of Werner ladders. A lot of real estate in there.
Wow.
And that's a lot of real estate.
Yeah.
And, and also a great reputation of shipping them product every single week, all kinds of products to all their stores for them and Lowe's and you name it. And so at least I had a level of credibility with my name that I wasn't a complete screw up. You can get in the door and then you could be a screw up and they'll show you the door again, but it's the exit door. It gets you kind of in maybe, but you got to work pretty hard to do it. But if you guys have success with the seltzer and you're in the capital raising, there's also different things you want to think about with capital raising. You're building a family business for multiple generations, or you kind of building a business that might get sold to some liquor company or Coca-Cola or someone like that.
Anheuser-Busch, yeah.
The Bush, right. One of those kind of guys, just a means to an end, and then kind of raising the capital and getting the right structure. Because as soon as you take the money, you got some new friends. And they might not turn out to be friends, and they might be half or a third of your age. I don't know how old you guys are, nor does it matter. But you might have some very young, smart guys that just came out of Wharton or Harvard, and they're going to ask lots of good questions and lots of annoying questions, and just say, well, okay, that's not working so well, so why don't you try this? And probably that's not a great idea, but you're going to have to kind of concede to doing some things you don't think makes a lot of sense. And that's just, compromise.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's important, I think, going in with all these companies to determine what your strategy is, like what you were saying, whether you're going to sell it, whether it's going to be business for 30 years, what it's going to be. Me personally, I enjoy creating things and moving on and creating the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That's just what I enjoy in life, to see how many things you could be number one at in life. So that way, when you look back at it, you can say, all right, I did X, Y, Z, and it seems shocking at the end of the day. That's just what I personally enjoy. For you guys, you've clearly created a brand that is going to live for many, 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 many years, because your products are amazing. On that front, I sat down with Rich over dinner, like we were talking about at the barbecue place here in Austin, and we were looking at numbers year over year for GhostBed on this show. And he said they were running right about the same. And he goes, your audience is growing, right? And I said, yes, our audience is growing. And I was like, to be honest, I think most of the new listeners are the ones that are buying the mattresses that keep those numbers even year over year. Because what I told Rich was, I've got ghost beds in every single room in my house. I have the pillows, I have the sheets. I literally have all of it. So anybody who's come over to my house in the past can vouch for this.
5 years or so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's in 2 different houses, and it is in every single room. That's how much I enjoy your products. However, they're so superior that you don't really need a mattress for 5 to 7 years because of the way they're built, and they're so great.
Well, they have a 20-year warranty. Some of them have a 25-year warranty. It's ridiculous.
100%.
Like, no, I don't know of any other mattress company that does that.
I don't either. But isn't that kind of troubling for you that you've created something so great that it lasts for years and years and years? Seltzer is a consumable, and you drink it, or coffee or whatever. Like, you drink it, you move on, but you keep drinking it over and over and over again. Whereas GhostBed might be like a one-time 5-year purchase because the product is so great that it lasts for so long.
Yeah, so I mean that's the downside of selling a long-term durable. In the auto industry, they used to call that planned obsolescence. So things would break down, and then you'd have to kind of get the car fixed or get a new one.
That's also like one of the things that crippled the American car market too.
Oh yeah,
like building shitty products that people would have to come back sooner. Yeah, not great.
Right. Planned obsolescence, and so that was a problem for them. The mattress market's a large market. I mean, the U.S. it's probably mattress, pillows, toppers. It's probably a $40 billion market, and everyone needs to sleep. And even though it lasts a long time, I always say after 7 or 8 years, from a hygiene standpoint, you should replace your mattress. After a few years, you should replace your pillow. Reason why, you're losing a pint of fluid every night. It's going somewhere. It's going into your bedclothes. It's going to the sheets. It's going into the mattress.
Is that true?
Yeah. That's totally true.
Oh,
and
God.
your body is. Yeah, so you're drooling at night. Film yourself at night when you're sleeping, and you'll see.
I'm already filming you at night, so it's fine.
Yeah. He's got all the footage.
So you're drooling, and you're drooling on the pillow and on the sheets and all that kind of stuff, and it's kind of yucky after a while. And then, even though dust mites really can't inhabitate in a memory foam type of thing, just stuff happens, and it's just like undergarments. It's after a certain point of time, it's just time to get rid of it, and your body changes shape a little bit, and your needs change. So I think kind of the 7-8 year cycle is kind of the right thing on that. But it is a very big market, and it's kind of when you're in market for a mattress. So basically, we always say 10% of the market of the population is in market. So that would be a 10-year replacement cycle. I think now the industry is closer to the 7-8 type of thing. Okay. And so people will get new ones. And we're seeing a lot of GhostBed customers where they might move the first one into the next bedroom and say, okay, you came out with this new technology, the cooling technology. We just did this amazing long-term partnership with Venus Williams. So we now have the Venus Williams collection. She's an absolute awesome person, great partner. She's a professional interior designer for 20 years. So we've worked on it together. The new lineup is just rolling out. It's been very, very successful. So I'm seeing people say, oh, I want that one. And it just has, a great feeling. You say, how do you make these things better all the time? It's just, we do. It's just evolution. Yeah. We're perfecting our craft. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a certain part of if you make a durable like that, there's got to be a certain part of your budget that's dedicated to R&D, right? Otherwise, you can't ever stay ahead. Mm-hmm. Like you exhaust your customer base within it. There's some plateau at some point where you just lose your customer base because they don't need your product anymore.
Right.
You just have to keep getting the word out. So part of this business is marketing it and getting the word out. So hopefully working with Venus, she has such a large audience of people that know her that never heard of GhostBed, that we can combine, kind of her brand and our products and her goodwill, and 2 and 2, make 5 synergy. And so far since we've launched, it's kind of happening that way. And then, working with great guys like you, getting the word out to your listeners, and then more people listen to it and share it. And, even if they don't listen to it and they happen to get the product, they tell their friend at work, hey, this mattress is really working out for me, or this pillow, etc. And that's kind of how it is. But you got to work really hard on the marketing all the time. Unlike your product with the seltzer, it's a consumable, drink it, next one, next week, etc. But you also have, intense competition for shelf space and everything else that you're dealing with there.
Yeah, 100%. And, we're already developing new flavors and things like that to keep the audience interested. And it was looking for that niche. I years ago, I got advice on if you could find a niche and exploit it, that's how you can be truly successful in this world. And with ours, it's an 8% seltzer that nobody really has. There's only 2 other people out there.
Something happened like 5 or 6 years ago where seltzers went from something that women drank to what dudes on college campuses were drinking.
Yes.
A lot. I don't know what it was. It was like, it's probably that whole irony becoming reality thing where everybody used to say bro to make fun of stoner hippies that called each other bro all the time. And now everybody just calls everybody bro. Well, I think the same thing happened with the seltzer, but then you run into dudes like us, right?
Yeah.
We have high tolerances for certain things, right?
Right.
And 4% just made me pee constantly.
Sure.
So there had to be a solution to that didn't involve me dumping a shot of vodka into the top of my seltzer every time I cracked
Which is
one
what
open.
we were doing, by the way.
For years.
And I took a meeting with somebody over at White Claw years ago, and they said more and more guys were becoming health conscious, and they cared about the calories, sugars, and carbs on the back of the can more and more. And I think that's what created the switch, because I love craft beer more than life itself, but you'll gain 500 pounds if you're just drinking heavy craft beer all the time. So it kind of had to dial it back to where it's once, twice a month sitch for me because of the calories and everything else. Now I don't have to worry about that, but with the seltzer, obviously, because there's no carbs and sugars in it and everything else. What advice do you have for guys like us who are getting into a space like this?
Well, it's uber competitive. And so you've got the niche. And so this 8% thing sounds like a nice niche. It doesn't mean that hole can't be closed by one of these other guys, pretty quickly. But you also kind of have your own brand and personality. And I think you have an audience. So you kind of have a little bit of a pre-existing kind of a gallery out there to work from. And I would, certainly lean into that in a big kind of a way. I think product proliferation is always a good thing, adding more SKUs, but keeping it reasonable. You don't want to go SKU crazy. If you notice what I do, I have the greatest sheets in the world, the Ghost Sheets, which is made from eucalyptus trees, tencel, and Supima cotton.
I sleep on them every single night. Every single night I sleep on them. Awesome.
It's just, I sleep on them too. And every morning I wake up and I say to my wife, it's like, these are the nicest sheets in the world. And she says the same thing. It's just, they're so comfortable. It's not because I, designed them and all that kind of stuff. They just are, because I tried to make something really comfortable for people. But I just have 2 colors. I have gray and white.
Yep.
And I don't want 10 colors. And Rich will ask me all the time, well, we should add more colors. We should add more colors. And I say, I kind of have my reasons not having more colors. I might add another one in the next year or so, but I don't want to go crazy. So you don't want to add too many flavors in your space. And then try to grab too much shelf space and mind share, because you also might run into the problem where someone tries the strawberry whatever one, kiwi, and they hate it, and then they start to diss the brand, the product altogether.
Sure.
Yeah, there's paralysis by analysis is a big thing in marketing. You don't want to give people too many options. So Apple, I think it was the second iPhone, the one that had different memory capabilities.
Yeah.
There were 4 or 5 different options. It was like 16, 32, 64, and 128. And they changed that to just 3 options, right? So you can have the baseline, you can have the Cadillac, or you can have the middle ground. Most people choose the middle ground, right?
Right.
It's just a psychological factor.
Which is the heart of what Mr. Sears did with good, better, best marketing.
Yep.
You have the top one, which I call the halo effect, which is the aspirational thing. It's priced at $3,000
for no reason too, right? A lot of times it's
for
priced,
no reason.
It's priced that high, not because of the cogs or anything like that. It's just priced that high to make it aspirational for people.
Exactly, aspirational. Yeah. And then you have the middle one, then you have the lower price one. Well, it kind of costs. There's a similar cost between all three of them.
Right.
The same people are kind of building a mattress. 60
I mean,
by
Gap Inc. does that right now. Old Navy is their lower tier, and then Gap and then Banana Republic is their upper tier. They're literally doing it right now.
And so what you end up trying to do is force people into the middle. Good, the better, and then best. And if you can kind of get people towards the middle, it kind of works out. Cost structure, margin structure, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So you have a handle on that. And I don't know if what your price points are on your seltzer, but that might even be part of that game. I'm not too overly knowledgeable on that seltzer market.
CPG is a much bigger pain in the ass because it is a consumable, and you really need to get ahead of your velocity and your raw materials. That's a big thing for us. That's actually our next step. The only reason we're even raising capital is because we have to buy 5 million cans because of
the aluminum shortage.
Yeah, aluminum shortage. It's making it more expensive, and then we have to cushion for all the gas nonsense that's going on because it's direct to DTC stuff. So.
And now you guys are contract manufacturing?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. You don't want to bring that in house. It just it's
no. We've got a great partner who's making our stuff for us right now. They make Mighty Swell and a bunch of other products.
Yeah, but as far as
I would stay that way.
Yeah, because I would say as far as getting into cans as well, he wants to do that eventually. But because right now with the can shortage, to print on the can, which will take $5 off per case, you have to order 1.2 million cans per flavor. So you're looking at 4.8 million cans there. And again, it's simply because of the shortage that is new as of a year ago.
That will pass. Having been in the aluminum business forever with aluminum ladders and the amount of aluminum we went through, we were one of the larger consumers of aluminum in the United States. And we had our own smelting facilities and stuff like that. I've seen these cycles come and go, and this will pass in due time. But like when I started Nature's Sleep, what I was going on to the thesis was that at Werner, we had vertically integrated. We had 13 unions. We had 42 factories. We made everything from the raw aluminum all the way to the finished products distribution. We had our own trucks. We had our own gas and oil that we put holes in the ground. We had our own insurance company, own real estate. We were vertically integrated 100%. Also, not great when you have recessions and stuff like that because we were a benevolent management, which means we never laid anyone off during a recession. We kept everyone on the payroll because we're a family business, and that's how our value system works.
You also, if you're vertically integrated to that degree, you also assume pretty much all the risk.
All the risk. You got it. You got it. So when I came up with this business, I said, look, rather than being double capital intense, so capital, fixed capital for the machinery and working capital, my thesis was there was too much excess capacity of everything. This is 22 years ago in the world. There's too many lawyers. There's too many guys making aluminum cans, too many guys driving truck. There was just a lot of capacity. I mean, today I look silly, for the last 18 months, but this will pass. So I said, let's just build a great product and do the engineering and contract manufacture with best of breed. So we partnered with FedEx and kind of help them, with the whole warehousing side of the business, partnered with other great manufacturers, had our guys in there for all the QC and the testing and the production runs. But I didn't want to tie up capital with brick and mortar machinery and equipment and buildings and tow motors and warehousemen and all that kind of stuff. I wanted guys that are doing that full time to do that, make the fabrics and things like that. We can help design it and do all those things. And we design all of our own products and all the chemistry that goes behind that, but just do contract manufacturing. And I love factories. I love the smell of hydraulic oil. So, I mean, that's what kind of gets me excited. But every time I'm ready to do that, I take these two hands, I put them under my legs, and I say, Marc, sit on your hands. Don't do it. Don't build that factory. Don't buy that factory. I know you love being in that factory. You could hang there all day, but don't do it. Stay with your model. Stay true. So don't make cans. I'm just giving my advice. Don't let the other guy make the cans and give up the couple bucks, okay?
Yep.
It always looks easy on that side versus the other side. The grass is never any greener.
I mean, we could always pivot and make heat sinks like you did before, I guess.
Yeah. Now I usually play a little game like, what is this kind of a thing? And, do you know what this goes into? Maybe I can do that.
Human.
No.
I'm kidding.
I would say it goes into a piece of factory equipment, probably.
I will go with a scale. It goes into a scale.
Wrong. So it goes into every General Motors alternator that General Motors makes a car. So this heat sink drops into the alternator, and without this, the alternator would overheat, and you would just burn up basically the starter kind of thing.
That heat sink tech, by the way, with the aluminum, as I'm sure you know, but for the audience, is what's not just used on the outside of aircraft, but also what's used on the outside of the rockets that NASA used to make, right?
Yeah.
This company called Amoco, I believe it's out of Egypt, made the raw materials for it. Dope. It was a huge, like being able to find a non-conductive piece of rigid material that also maintained its temperature was a big fucking deal for modern America, for the modern world in general. It was a huge deal.
You're smiling, Mark. Why?
Well, just because I love that you guys are talking about this kind of stuff. And this is, to me, my geeky world and the world I grew up in. And we just made, at Werner, besides being the number one guy in ladders, and 85% market share is Google kind of market share. There's not many products that have that. And no one made life easy for us. Absolutely no one. It was a competitive battle, but it was fought over decades and generations. And, we established that. But we made so many other widgets and gadgets that go into so many different parts and windows and thresholds and all kinds of stuff that you don't even know. But you learn a lot about when you're doing that. And I've watched going from the aluminum to making it in fiberglass and composites and Kevlar and stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun for me over the years. And I love it. But
yeah, product array like that is good though for when you have a durable product, you got to come out with other stuff. And to that effect, I have to bring this up because our fans will not shut the fuck up about it for years now. Are you guys ever going to make a dog bed?
Dog bed.
Because I know some mattress companies have, and I want I spend so much money on stupid ass dog beds.
Yeah.
So we're dog people for starters, and I used to make Nature Sleep dog beds, and then I keep saying my wife keeps saying, you've got to make dog beds. So I've made a few just for my house and my office. So when the dogs come in, but we will be coming out with a series of dog beds for ghost dog beds. A new product we just came out with that's, I don't even know if you guys know, it's been unbelievably successful, is RV mattresses. RVs is a huge market. I think
huge.
20% of the country has an RV, and they're not inexpensive. They're expensive. And they put the cheapest mattress in the world in the RV.
That's the worst, yeah.
And I've got a boat, too, and the boat mattress.
I was just going to say boats. Same thing.
It's so bad. We're actually looking for mattresses to replace the ones on our boat now.
Yeah.
But it's a weird cutout.
It's a weird cut and shape. So I'm focusing right now on RV short queens and short kings. And I came out with the GhostBed Classic. And the end of this week, we'll have the GhostBed Flex, the hybrid version of that for that. And since we've come out with it, taken off. Absolutely taken off. There's less players in it, and it's just a crime. I mean, some of these people buy an RV for it's like $50,000 to $500,000. I mean, they can be crazy prices, and they put in these $9,900 mattresses. And so what we're selling is an upgraded luxury mattress at a reasonable price, and it's been very, very successful. And I'm thrilled, absolutely thrilled. Just like when we came out with our topper, I've been making toppers for 20 years. But I said, we got to make this different. So we did a multi-zone topper, and then I put our cooling fabric on it. I made it waterproof, so you don't need a mattress protector. And then I put our elastic band around the side, so it's got an 18-inch skirt to fit over your mattress. So now you've got this extra beautiful feel on your mattress, so you can take an older mattress and extend the life. You've got this incredibly cool fabric on the top. And if you pee or spill coffee or spill seltzer on it, doesn't matter, won't ruin it. So it's like another kind of all-in-one kind of product that I've solved a bunch of problems and doing phenomenal.
And the RV world, by the way, over the weekend, they're opening another one, the Fitz, off of Fitzhugh.
Yeah, our buddies are.
Yeah, we were just literally just talking about it yesterday. We had a big Easter get-together, and I was surprised at how fast the RV market is growing. Is it because of COVID?
It's because of COVID.
It is, okay.
Yeah, I mean, RV capital of the world is Indiana. I mean, that's where RV kind of came from, mobile homes and RVs. And just in the last couple of years, because I know a lot of guys, because I used to make a lot of parts that went into RVs on an OEM side. There's no real branding that go into the parts in the RV. There's Winnebagos and brands for that. But those dealers that are selling the RVs, they just want to sell the RV for 50 or 100 grand or whatever the number is. They're not really into the accessories. So the customer has to kind of figure out, where do I get a better mattress? And that's the first thing they want to do. I mean, they don't need a better door hinge in the kitchen in the RV. They're sleeping on this mattress and they want it to be good because this is their fun time. This is kind of their holiday, even if they can get away 3 weekends a month in the RV.
Do you know Marc Lemonis? I think his name is.
Oh, Marcus Lemonis?
Yeah. Just by watching him all the time, and I know he's Camping World, so I'm trying to reach out to them to get our RV mattress on there at least.
We'll have Ari send you his contact info.
Yeah, if you want his number, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. If you want his number, we can connect after the show.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, that's like Roush. A lot of companies that make aftermarket stuff have done King Ranch, for example, with Ford. Like a lot of people have done that stuff, and it's been very successful. It's a good idea.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it is expanding rapidly, and man, those RVs. You're right, because an RV will run you up 80, 90K. And then you've got this $100 mattress in there, and you're like, dude, I just spent 90 grand on this RV. Like, why isn't there a better mattress?
Yeah, it's like this shitty roll-up mattress that they give people in county jail.
Basically. Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to call out a couple of lower-end retailers, but it's the kind of mattress you would get there for $99, $199, and it's a temporary kind of mattress, not something that belongs in a nice RV.
No, certainly not. And I think that people like those little upgrades. Again, if I had the ability to spend a little bit more money and deal with less bullshit, and I consider bad sleep to be bullshit, then I would pay more money, like 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Like even right now, I take an extra suitcase with me when I travel that has my ghost pillow in it. And
that's true, by the way. I can vouch for that.
I'm 100% not kidding about that. And I'm thinking about adding the topper in there as well. I think I can fold it up enough that it'll fit in with my pillow.
Probably.
Yeah, it's just like a carry-on size piece of luggage, but that stuff is really squishy. So if you just pound it in there, Although I think it looks. If I ever get stopped by TSA, they're like, dude, what the hell?
Yeah.
What are you doing? I got my GhostBed topper.
Yeah.
Do you guys have RVs?
No, my father-in-law has one. He just bought one a year ago, and it ran him about 90, I think. And same thing.
Find out what size his mattress is so we can fix that.
I will for sure, because we take the kids out in it. He lives up in Ojai in California. We take the kids out in it, take them down to the beach and all that stuff, and it's fun, and it's a beautiful RV. But they have the worst mattresses on the planet in those things, and you're just like, dude.
I don't know if any of the major RV retailers even have a deal with any kind of mattress company.
They don't.
How is that possible?
That doesn't make any sense.
Because they don't care. They're selling the $90,000, RV, and that's what they're focused on, and that's what the sales guys focused on, and that's what it's all. It's like a car dealership. He's selling the car. Yeah. He's not. You can get a keychain in his little gift shop kind of a thing, but they're not into.
Yeah, but if you're in e-commerce, that extra 5 to 15% addition to sale at checkout it'll up your overall or your net revenue. I think it's by 20% or something like that.
It will, but these are a dealership system with these RV guys, and the sales guys are big game hunters. Okay, so they're just trying to get you to walk in there and spend 90, and then he's getting his commission on that, and he doesn't want to waste any time talking about, oh, by the way, the mattress sucks in this $90,000 RV, so let me sell you an upgrade right now. That's not what he wants to talk about. It's just, this is the best thing in the world. You're going to have the best time. Just sign right here. Oh, we got financing. We got all that kind of stuff. Yep.
That's exactly what happened to him. I think a hot girl got him. He had a few beers and a joint, and a hot girl at the RV delership really talked him into that one.
There's only so much you can do. Those things are pretty pricey.
Oh, yeah.
They can go up. Where I lived, there were a couple football players that played for the Dolphins, and one of the guys got like one of those $400,000 ones. And it was like, a school bus, but in an RV. And so I went on it, and it was very impressive. Very impressive.
Yeah, we need one to tailgate in because we have a sports show. We need a traveling Drinkin' Bros sports one to tailgate in.
That's coming soon.
Yeah, that's the next move. Because we rented an RV at the Penn State Ohio State game, and some people blacked out inside that thing, and was never more amped to have an RV than that because we went really hard that day, really hard, Marc. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to college?
So I grew up in Chicago. I lived in Canada for a few years. My dad was running the Werner of Canada when I was early on in the 50s. And then we moved to Sharon, Pennsylvania, and then we moved to Chicago. And my dad kept opening factories for the family. And then my mother, we had 4 kids. May she rest in peace. She just said, I'm not moving to another town with all these 4 kids. So she said to my dad, who's still alive, thank God, at 91, she said, you can travel and, build these new factories around the country or around the world, whatever you want to do, but I'm not moving these kids again. So I kind of went through the school system in Chicago and then went to college in Illinois. And then when I was with the business, then I had to move. The headquarters was in a little town called Greenville, Pennsylvania, which is Western PA. No one really knows about it, other than there was a military base right next to us. So some guys might have known that. But so we lived then over in Youngstown, Ohio, which was just across the road from Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, I know it well. There's a lot of mafia in Youngstown.
A lot of mafia, right? They call it Little Chicago, right? A lot of mafia guys.
Is there something else going on that you really want to tell us? Because you've lived in Chicago and Youngstown.
Right. Well, I'm a Midwest guy, there's the mob guys, but, the mob's kind of out of business, like the internet and all these digital things kind of put their gig out of business.
Yeah, it did.
It's got to suck that you've been doing protection rackets your whole life, and now some nerd can put a worm on somebody's computer with what is it called? Ransomware.
Yeah, ransomware.
Yeah, and do like 30 years worth of your job in 10 minutes.
Right, and if you got caught, you'd get 20 years, and he'll never get caught.
Yeah.
It's just a totally different game.
I went to Ohio State, and there was my buddies were from Youngstown, so we would go up there, and there was a house in a residential neighborhood that was gutted on the inside, and it had a grill, kind of like Waffle House that you would see at Waffle House, and then upstairs you could shoot dice for money in Youngstown, and so we would go up there after the bars closed, and then go there get some food, and then gamble upstairs. But you had to knock twice on the door, and then it slid open. And
like
if they, 100%. But if they didn't know you or one of your family members, you weren't allowed in, and that's my lasting memory of Youngstown. That, and I remember the DeBartolo family lived there, who owned the 49ers.
The DeBartolos definitely lived there, and the Cafaros lived there. And they used to bring the 49ers, because they were winning back in the years when I was living there in the 90s. So they would bring the whole team to Youngstown, so you get to kind of meet all of them from Joe Montana on down. And that was always kind of a fun thing. And that's an interesting backstory on the DeBartolos. That's the kind of the folklore in town, and how they got started. And that's kind of where the malls. DeBartolo, his fame to claim was he invented the first shopping mall. That was his fame to claim, and he's the guy that did it.
I didn't know
the whole
that,
industry is based upon Eddie DeBartolo Sr. And the way he got started was he was smart. After World War II, he bought, in the old days before there was waste management, there was just dump trucks and the Youngstown waste management, the waste company, and the Austin. There was probably 6 different guys in Austin picking up garbage, making a few bucks. He bought an old garbage truck in Youngstown. He had the idea of painting it so it looked brand new. Went door to door and said, I'm the new guy, sign up. And that's kind of how he got going, and is making a few bucks. And he came up with the idea then for a shopping mall. So he built the first shopping mall in Youngstown, and the rest is history.
Wow.
I won't go into the details of what the folklore is from that shopping mall, because I don't want to say anything inappropriate. But
absolutely, I know.
That's how he got started.
I know Youngstown is but like you said, the digital age kind of nuked out most of that mafia shit. So
because look at like those guys used to heist those semi-trailers. Okay.
Yeah.
Now there's GPS in every semi-trailer. There's nothing you can do. They know where they are all the time. They would run numbers, and then the lottery came into play, and then gambling became legalized in most of the states. So no one needed to buy numbers and that kind of thing. Loan sharking, there's payday loans. So, each of their ventures kind of went away with innovation.
Prohibition is always good for crime. Whenever you legalize things that used to be illegal, then crime suffers, unfortunately. Yeah. It's almost like an argument to stop making things illegal, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do I know?
What do you know?
A million years of history to back that claim up. But
Exactly. Are you guys moving into any other types of businesses besides mattresses?
Well, we're very big in adjustable bases. And so we're actually huge in adjustable bases. And we just got granted a patent that I developed 5 years ago for the smart adjustable base. So it works with all smart hubs like Alexa and stuff like that. And that's very cutting edge. And that really applies not just to adjustable bases, but it applies to motion furniture and hospital beds.
Yeah.
And so, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's a lot of play on that. And then we just re-engineered our adjustable base. And I think you might have one or not have one.
I have one. And once I had it, I couldn't live without it.
Okay.
It's one of those things that me and my wife enjoy, where especially because of the functions on the remote control, you can put it in book mode or TV mode, and it just pops up for you at the perfect height. So that's what we enjoy about it. And then the flashlight, and then the vibration throughout the bed is awesome too.
All those features are great. It helps your breathing, helps your back. So there's a lot of health benefits besides just comfort benefits and ease of life. But so what I did was originally we put it into a box, as you saw. It came kind of folded over like a picnic table, so FedEx could deliver it rather than two guys on a truck and have to wait 2 to 4 weeks. So we re-engineered it, and this was a big effort on our part, and I'm very proud of it. And now we reduced the size of that box by 60%. So it just really changes the math on the logistics and distribution. So not only can we ship it a lot easier on FedEx, but now we can put a skid of them in a Home Depot or a Costco and make it so you could buy it there and take it home, which just kind of really expands the market.
Right.
So you'll see us coming out with really taking advantage of that new patented technology. And that's what we're shipping now, is the new model. It's taken, a couple years to develop it and all that kind of stuff. Looks exactly the same. We added a few more features to it. But adjustable bases is a growth category. Like right now, I think we're at 35 million mattresses sold in the United States a year. Okay. I think we're at 4 or 5 million adjustables. So we're at the very early side of that. And so we think that's going to be a 10 million plus unit market over the next 2 to 5 years. So a lot of growth. And a lot of people, wealthy or just of no knowledge, don't realize how great of an adjustable is for you. A lot of people think it's for like older people for like a hospital bed. Not the case at all. Not the case. So it's just an awareness thing. And, we lean into the split kings, because then each side of the couple can kind of sleep in the way that they really want to. Like I have the 3 neck surgeries, bad back. So I lift the legs a little bit so it takes the pressure off the lower back. People with any breathing problems, people with snoring problems, which is half the country, you lift it up a little bit and you open that passageway.
Yeah, hiatal hernia as well, right? Yeah. It's a spasm behind the esophagus that gives you acid reflux. If you lift your bed about, it's like 15 degrees, but usually it's like 6 to 8 inches, something like that. It'll stop that shit.
Wow.
When you're sleeping.
I didn't know that.
A lot of stuff like that. My dad used to put a brick underneath the back of his bed.
Really?
Yeah, just so you.
Right. In the old days.
Yeah.
Right. You would put some pillows or some kind of a wedge there to kind of offset that hiatal hernia thing, which is like acid reflux, I think, is another name for that. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that adjustable base. Once you have it, you can't go back after that. I'm in that club. My wife and I are.
No, I'm just waiting for one that takes voice commands.
Well,
that's the last stage for me.
When you went out for your pee break, that's the patent I just got.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
So I just got the patent called the GhostBed Smart Adjustable Base patent. It printed in January, took about 5 years to get. And so now it'll work with not only voice commands, but any snoring. So if you're snoring, it'll pick it up and then adjust the back of it. So you lift up, I think, 10, 12% automatically. And so your partner doesn't have to kind of start yelling at you and throw pillows at you like my wife would do. She just pushes me, Mark, come on, turn over. And, I never remember it, but that's what she claims. So it will just do it for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
When do those come out? Because I need to.
So I just got the patent, what they say, printed. So in January, a few months ago, after a lot of hard work, and it's a very comprehensive patent. It's what we call a methods patent.
Okay.
So there's design patents, utility patents, and method being the mother of all patents.
Yeah.
So it really means that you don't have to say, I use the red wire to the green wire. It just means it goes up. And, how you do it behind the scenes is your call. So it'll probably be coming out, when are we ready? In April? Probably later this year.
Sweet.
Okay.
I'll definitely be purchasing one of those.
Hell yeah. Now's the point in the show. We get to the Drinkin' Bro of the Week, which is someone who has inspired you or helped you become the person you are today. Who would you like to give the Drinkin' Bro of the Week to?
I would give it to my dad, who's 91, who's been my mentor and my, wisdom and just kind, humble person that's just treats everyone like with such respect and such a good person. He's 91 years old and he's on 16 charity boards and just gives all his time for all kinds of various organizations. And he's made me just a better person my whole life, not just this week, but all of my years. So it would be to my dad.
Awesome. Cheers. What an incredible family story you have. You guys keep creating amazing businesses. We're lucky to have you as a title sponsor here. Everyone loves the mattresses and the adjustable base and the pillows and the sheets. Don't sleep on the sheets. Those are the best. Those are the best in the biz. Sleep so good it's scary, by the way, was a catchphrase that we came up with on the show years ago. You're welcome to take it, Marc.
Thank you.
At ghostbed.com/Drinkin' Bros.
Supernatural comfort. So you guys have been great partners with us, and even though we haven't, really done this before, it's a pleasure, and I thank you for your time today. I've watched your guys' career and how many shows have spun off of your core, first show and your popularity, and I love reading. I read every single review we get, and I just love reading the reviews. And guys call you out constantly, but not just Drinkin' Bros, by name, and they had a couple 4-letter ing adjectives, calling you out in a loving way. In a loving way.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just have a very loyal following, and it's very impressive what you guys have built up. And now you're going into more products and stuff like that. So more power to you. Love being, partnered with you guys.
Well, we greatly appreciate it. Continued success in the future. And thanks for being with us all these years.
My pleasure. And do you know why I went with you guys early on? It was the military connection. Coming from a military family, that was my connection. So when your grandpa was in 2 world wars and was a diehard, military, and your dad, and other family members, I just related to that right away. So that was cool for me.
Well, Dan served, and then all my family was in the military. But, my time was interesting because when I grew up, there wasn't any conflict of anything. Plus I already knew what I wanted to be in life and all that other stuff. But we were doing a bunch of military charities out in Hollywood. And then I got hooked up with these guys, and it's been amazing. We also did a movie together where it was all veterans working on the movie, and then that's when I realized, oh shit, veterans work a lot harder than everybody else, and I better stick with this crew going forward.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So thanks again. Go to ghostbed.com/Drinkin' Bros today. Check out all the products on there, and appreciate the advice on running a business and everything else. For D'Anthony Holloway, I'm Ross Patterson. This is the Drinkin' Bros podcast. Good.